Good afternoon to honorable adjudicators. I am the first speaker from the opponent team, and today I'm going to be debating under the motion. This House preferred the strategy of pushing for institutional reform to address police abuse and misconducting rather than defunding the police. First of all, before I move on to my arguments, I would like to rebuttal to the government team's arguments. They say that not all part of the department in the police are guilty. Meanwhile, of the behavior of these police also required from the institutional that they are in. Based on the sociology theory that's called sociogenesis theory, that the people who actually act as a criminal actually became a criminal because of their environment itself. What's the cause of criminality? The environment itself, the institutional itself. Also, they say that racism and hates can be unlearned. Meanwhile, these police institutions that should give the citizen the safety, how can they give them this kind of criminal issues that will only make them scared? And also, they say people can be better. Meanwhile, these police who have trained for years, who have trained to be a police, do this kind of criminal and abuse to the citizens itself. How can we believe this kind of person who actually go oppose the citizens itself? Also, they say that not every police is being a criminal, but in fact, there are lots of police who became a criminal just because of the institution that they are in currently. Now let's move on to my background. The defund of the police rise after the case of George Floyd's death have rise. People are striving to actually direct the funding of the police away from the department to give it to the other government social institution that can be more helpful for the development of the society itself. Defund does not mean abolishing the law enforcement itself. It means that it's not necessarily mean that if we defund the police that we are supporting the abolishing of the law enforcement. Different from abolishing, defunding police, it will navigate a fiscal responsibility and has potential impact that the social development of the citizens in these states will be a lot more productive and more efficient. Basically, the act of defunding the police help to give the money for more helpful services in the states for the citizens. Each year, state and the local government spend more than $100 billion of money for the law enforcement itself, but the police doesn't seem to actually have adjudicate the criminal cases well, but instead they create another new criminal cases. Now let's move on to my argument. The first point of my argument is that police department have a poor track record in solving these criminal cases. That means they have failed from their major point to actually protect the citizens, to actually give the adjudication for law enforcement. They have failed to actually manage that to happen, but instead they are creating another criminal cases to happen by abolishing and by abusing the citizen itself. Also, police provide services that they can handle and create to actually happen. It means that not every kind of criminal cases can be handled by the police. It means that the police actually have received tons of money that can be used just for the law enforcement. It is proof that by 1 from 4 people who actually have mental illness that is handled by the police actually get killed, get murdered by the police. Also, we are expecting the police to actually have the law enforcement, but in fact they are creating another issues to be adjudicated from our public services. Also, they have betrayed and putting the society as a guinea pig of their job itself. They are creating a social issues, and it creates an afraid for the citizen itself to be able to have a safety, to be able to have justice in the street. They can actually feel that. And also, funding can help the police from oppressing the citizens. As we are allocating the money actually to give social services a better development, we are helping to address the problems, not adjudicating it, but also as an act of prevention. Also, we need the urgency to actually create the development for the social community, because what will happen if we actually reallocate our funding only for the police police department itself, it will restrict another social public health organization and institution to actually develop, like schools or counselors that actually is very needed to build, to actually create the mindset of the citizen itself, not by giving this police a lot of money to be allocated for law enforcement that they didn't do at all. A research by Frank Edward, Hedwig Lee, and Michael Esposito compiled that 1 from 100 black men expected to be killed by the police just because of being black. Meanwhile, is this the kind of image that the police try to create for the citizen itself? It must be wrong. And the public health experts have described that the police violence have caused a serious public health for the citizen. So why are we allocating our money, our taxes, for something that will only bring harm to our communities? My dear citizens, ladies and gentlemen, ABC News reported that more than 30% of American adults actually help this kind of funding act, because that will not only affect their generation but also the older and the younger generations that will actually grow in the community and that will live in that certain community. So by funding, we are actually tackling a lot of problems right in a way, and we are also preventing the police to actually oppress our rights, oppress our safety space in the public. Also by funding, it says that we can prevent the abuse and oppression of the police towards our community, and not dependent of what kind of race do you have to be actually treated equally. Also, we can create a better social development where these students, where these people who actually have educated from right where they actually study, can be able to act better in the society and can be able to think widely about how wise and how diverse the community that they are living in. Also, we can solve the problems right at the root, not only by depriving this kind of act by police that will only harm our citizens. We just gave the police another chance to actually harm us citizens if we actually create an institutional form and try not to misconduct the institutional form as a way for the police to actually create more safety issues and harm and trust issues for our citizens itself. So I strongly believe that we should actually defund defunding for the police itself and rather allocate them for a better social development institution in our society to be able to help these citizens in order to learn, to study, to educate themselves to be better in the society itself. And we are doing not only the coercive act, but we are also doing the preventive act. I think that's all from me. Thank you.